All right, so you guys have sent over a ton of articles and stories this week about what's going on in the crypto world. And wow, it's a lot.
It's been a busy week for sure.
It's been busy, to say the least. So we've got a major Ethereum hack bigger than Ronin and Poly Network combined.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Some news about OpenSea
Good.
and the SEC.
Some good news there, actually.
Oh, is it good news? Okay, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
The Pi Network launched, and there's like a huge twist with that.
A lot of people have been waiting for that.
Yeah. So many people have been mining Pi for so long.
Yeah, finally.
And then Nigeria is going after Binance. Plus, we've got some AI news from Dubai and Saudi Arabia, so let's jump right in.
Sounds good.
Let's start with this Bybit hack. So $1.5 billion with a B dollars in Ethereum was stolen from Bybit.
That's insane.
That's the biggest crypto heist that we've ever seen.
It is. It surpasses both Ronin, which was $624 million back in 2022, and Poly Network, $611 million in 2021. So yeah, this is officially the largest theft that we've seen.
It's crazy. So how did they do it? Well, the hackers used this really complex mass transaction technique to trick Bybit's system. They essentially created like this fake interface.
Ah, so like a phishing kind of thing.
Yeah, like a phishing thing, but way more sophisticated to steal from their secure wallet.
And you would think that a place like Bybit would have security measures in place to prevent something like that.
You would think, right?
I mean, they have a lot of money to spend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it looks like the Lazarus Group is behind it.
Oh, wow, those guys.
Yeah, these guys are
Infamous.
infamous. They were behind the 2014 Sony Pictures hack, the WannaCry ransomware attack. Like, these guys are...
They're not messing around.
No, not messing around.
They're professionals.
Professionals. Bybit's saying that they'll cover all the losses, but I'm sure that people are still freaking out. And this has caused like a huge stir in the crypto market, and the price of ETH has taken a dip, I'm sure.
It's going to make people hesitant to trust centralized exchanges.
And then, on top of all of this, the CEO of Bybit even mentioned the idea of doing like a blockchain rollback.
Really? To reverse the hack.
Yeah, just like Ethereum did back in 2016 after the DAO hack. Remember that?
Yeah, that's when Ethereum Classic was created, right?
Yes.
I mean, this is like a huge debate, right? Because blockchain is supposed to be immutable.
Right.
Like, you can't change it. So if you roll back, doesn't that undermine the whole point?
It brings up a lot of questions about the integrity of blockchain if you can just change it whenever something goes wrong.
What's stopping them from changing other transactions in the future? Like, where do you draw the line?
Totally. Imagine if a traditional bank was like, oh, we're just going to hit undo on that robbery, you know? Like,
Yeah, it would never happen.
never happen. It's such an interesting concept, and this is a great example of what can happen on these centralized networks. So it makes you think, like, what if this happened on a truly decentralized
Well, it
network?
would be chaos, right?
What would happen? I don't even know.
I don't know. That's a good question.
So this situation is really putting these principles of like decentralization and immutability to the test.
For sure. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think? Would you want them to roll back the blockchain if you were a Bybit user?
I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, you want your money back, but on the other hand, it's just like, is that how this is supposed to work?
Yeah, tough call. All right, well, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about OpenSea and the SEC.
Okay.
So you said good news, right?
Yes.
So back in August 2024, OpenSea and a couple of artists were under investigation by the SEC,
Right.
but they dropped the investigation.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that's good news for NFT creators, right? Because this could be a signal that the SEC is changing how they're going to regulate NFTs.
That's huge because I know a lot of people in the NFT space were really worried about that.
Absolutely. It could provide them more legal certainty going forward.
And with President Trump being so pro-crypto, like this could mean that we see like a massive boost in the NFT market.
I think that's a safe bet, yeah. It'll be interesting to see what new applications for NFTs will emerge with this new regulatory landscape.
Okay, so let's talk about this Pi Network launch because this one is really interesting. So
Right.
people have been mining Pi coins on their phones, like you said, for years now. And it's always been seen as like a little bit of
A little bit of a what?
a little sus, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Like an MLM scheme almost.
Yeah, it had that vibe.
It totally did. But they finally launched their mainnet and token on February 20th, 2025.
It's about time.
It's about time, right? And there's this big twist.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So the token surged 45% initially, but then it plummeted over 52%.
Wow, that's a roller coaster.
Yeah, and then their supposed market cap doesn't even really make sense if you look at the numbers.
Oh, really? That's weird.
It's very weird, and CoinDesk even came out and called it a scam.
Oh, wow. So much for the hype.
I know, and there are a lot of concerns about token dilution.
That's a big one. If there's too much dilution, the price could keep tanking.
Exactly. But it's kind of interesting because now that it's on the mainnet, it opens the door for exchange listings.
Yeah.
And we might see some actual real-world use cases for Pi.
That's true. It could still turn things around.
It could. It could. It'll be really interesting to see what happens with Pi.
Yeah, for sure. So what's next?
All right. Well, next up we have Binance and Nigeria.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, this is a big one. So Binance has had a really rocky relationship with Nigeria in the past, like they've gone back and forth.
I seem to remember something about Binance halting transactions there.
Yeah, you're right. Back in 2024, they stopped all transactions in Nigeria. But now, Nigeria is suing Binance
Okay, for how much?
for $81.5 billion. That's with a B.
81.5 billion. What? That's crazy.
Yeah, Nigeria claims that Binance hasn't been paying their corporate taxes.
That's a lot of unpaid taxes.
A lot of unpaid taxes and other fees. And then on top of that, they're saying that Binance has been involved in money laundering.
Wow, that's a serious accusation.
It is, but Binance denies it, of course.
Of course they do.
So we'll have to see how this plays out. But this lawsuit, it could escalate and really impact their BNB coin.
Yeah, if this goes south for Binance, it could send ripples throughout the whole crypto ecosystem.
Totally. And, it makes you think, are we going to see more countries start to take a tougher stance against these big crypto exchanges?
I wouldn't be surprised. This could be just the beginning.
So what are your thoughts on the future of centralized exchanges in a world that's embracing decentralization more and more?
That's a tough one. It's like, will people be willing to give up the convenience of centralized exchanges for the security of decentralized platforms?
It's a good question, and we'll have to see how this whole thing plays out. All right, well, for now, let's step away from the drama of the crypto world and look at some AI news.
Okay, sounds good. I need a break from all this chaos.
Me too.
Okay.
So first up, Dubai Customs is launching this new platform.
Oh, I read about this. It's called Salamonic, right?
Yeah, Salamonic, what a name. It's supposed to enhance how they classify goods for customs procedures using AI.
Yeah, it's basically going to streamline the whole process, make it faster and more accurate.
So it's like instead of having people manually check everything, they're using AI to do it.
Exactly, which will benefit both businesses and individuals.
Yeah, I mean, faster customs clearance mean quicker deliveries, right?
Exactly.
And speaking of AI, we have some news coming out of Saudi Arabia.
Oh yeah, the FA Investment Hub and the Bayon platform, they released a really interesting report about venture investing in AI.
Yeah, what did you think?
I thought it was a really comprehensive overview of the AI landscape in Saudi Arabia.
So they're basically positioning themselves as a global AI hub.
It seems that way, yeah.
Yeah.
They're talking about economic growth, investment opportunities. They even have case studies of AI adoption in different sectors.
Interesting. So we've covered a lot of ground here. A massive Ethereum hack, good news for NFTs, a very dramatic Pi network launch, and a huge lawsuit against Binance.
And we haven't even gotten to part 2 yet.
And don't forget the AI developments in Dubai and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it's been a wild week in the tech world.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see what next week brings.
Me too. All right, well, that's it for part 1 of our deep dive, but stay tuned because we'll be back with more in part 2.
See you then.
It's pretty crazy to think about the implications this whole Bybit hack could have for the future of centralized exchanges.
Yeah, for sure. Like if they can't even keep $1.5 billion safe.
Right. It makes you wonder.
It makes you wonder if anything's really safe.
Exactly. And are people going to just be like, you know what, forget, I'm going decentralized?
Yeah. Will they be willing to sacrifice the convenience of those big platforms for the security of a decentralized system?
It's a good question. I guess we'll see how it all plays out.
We'll see, for sure. It's a fascinating time for crypto, that's for sure.
Okay, well, let's switch gears a little bit to some good news.
Oh, okay, good.
Let's talk about OpenSea and the SEC. So the SEC dropped that investigation, like you said.
Yeah, which I think is a huge win, not just for OpenSea, but for like the entire NFT space, honestly.
Yeah, it is. Because it shows that maybe like the regulatory landscape is shifting a little bit to be more favorable for NFTs.
Yeah, and that's huge, especially with, President Trump's pro-crypto stance. Like maybe this is a start of something big.
I think so. I think this could be a catalyst for even more growth in NFTs.
For sure. Like with more regulatory clarity, creators are going to be more confident in exploring new applications for NFTs. Investors are going to feel more comfortable putting their money in. It's a good thing.
Okay, well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, shall we?
Oh boy, Pi Network.
Pi network. So all those people mining Pi on their phones for years and
On
years.
years. Finally, the main SRET launches.
Yeah, launch.
And it's a complete disaster.
It's a mess. It's a disaster.
I mean, the token price, you said it, plummeting over 50% after that initial surge.
Yeah, and then their claims about the market cap. Like, none of it adds up.
It's very sus, like it always has been.
Like we said, very sus.
Yeah, but now it's even more sus.
It's even more sus,
Yeah.
and CoinDesk called it a scam.
Ouch. Yeah, that's not a good look.
Not a good look.
Yeah.
But, on the other hand, now that it's launched, now that it's on the mainnet, it does open the door for exchange listings and maybe some real-world use cases.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is their chance to actually prove the skeptics wrong.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I'm very curious to see what happens with this because they have such a huge, community.
They do. It's wild.
It is wild.
So what's next? More drama.
Oh, yeah, we're not done with the drama yet.
Oh.
Binance and Nigeria. So we talked about this $81.5 billion lawsuit.
With the B.
With a B. It's crazy.
It is.
So, Nigeria claims that Binance owes a ton in unpaid taxes and fees and that they've been involved in money laundering, which Binance denies, of course.
Of course.
But it's just another example of the challenges that these big exchanges are facing as they try to navigate this global regulatory landscape.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder if this could set a precedent for other countries to start cracking down even harder on crypto exchanges.
Right. What if this inspires other countries to go after Binance or other exchanges for similar reasons?
Exactly. And then what happens to the industry as a whole? Does it become more fragmented with each country having its own rules and regulations? It's a lot to think about.
It's a lot. It is. And it makes you wonder, in this world that's becoming increasingly decentralized, what is the future of these big centralized exchanges? Are they going to become obsolete?
I mean, it's hard to say. They offer a lot of convenience, But if they can't guarantee the security of user funds, then what's the point?
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, well, let's take a break from all this legal and financial drama for a minute and shift gears.
Yes, please.
To AI.
Okay, my favorite.
Because there's actually some pretty exciting stuff happening in this space. So we talked about how Dubai Customs is launching this new platform called Salamonic.
Yeah, I read about that. It sounds pretty innovative.
It does. It does. So how does it actually work?
So basically, it uses machine learning algorithms to analyze all the data about goods that are coming into Dubai. So think product descriptions, images, country of origin, all that stuff.
So it's instead of having humans manually inspect and categorize everything, they're using AI to do it automatically.
Exactly. And that means faster customs processing, fewer errors, and better compliance with all the rules and regulations.
That makes sense. So it's a win for businesses, it's a win for individuals, it's a win for Dubai Customs.
Yeah, it's a win-win all around. It's a great example of how AI can be used to really improve efficiency and streamline complex processes.
Totally. And it seems like Dubai is really serious about positioning themselves as a leader in AI adoption, right?
Yeah, they are. They're investing a lot in AI infrastructure research and talent development.
And it's not just Dubai. We also have some news out of Saudi Arabia.
Oh, yeah. That report from the FA Investment Hub and the Bayon platform.
The report, yeah. What were your main takeaways from that?
Well, the main thing that jumped out at me was just the sheer amount of investment that Saudi Arabia is pouring into AI. They're clearly trying to establish themselves as a global hub for AI innovation.
It's interesting to see how different countries are approaching AI and trying to capitalize on its potential.
Yeah, for sure. It's everyone's realizing that AI is the future and they all want to be a part of it.
It is the future. It really is.
But, with all this focus on the technological advancements, it's also important to remember the ethical considerations.
Oh, absolutely. We can't just blindly embrace AI without thinking about the potential consequences.
Exactly. We need to be having conversations about things like job displacement, bias and algorithms, privacy concerns, all that stuff.
Yeah, and we need to make sure that AI is developed and used in a way that benefits all of humanity, not just a select few.
Exactly. And those are the kinds of conversations that we need to be having now before it's too late.
So true. So true. Well, it looks like we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive.
We have. It's been a whirlwind.
It has been a whirlwind.
From hacks to lawsuits to AI advancements, it's a lot to process.
It is, but that's the world we live in, right? A world of constant change and innovation.
And it's only going to get faster and more complex.
Well, on that note, let's take a quick break, and then we'll be back for the final part of our deep dives, where we'll wrap everything up and leave you with some final thoughts to ponder.
Sounds good. I need a coffee refill anyway.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of crazy stuff. Ethereum getting hacked for billions, the SEC dropping its case against OpenSea, the Pi network launch being a roller coaster, and Nigeria suing Binance. And then we switch gears to the exciting world of AI, with Dubai and Saudi Arabia making big moves. It's kind of mind-blowing to see it all happening at once, right?
Yeah, it's like this wave of technological change that's just crashing over us. Hard to keep up, you know? It's like, what's going to have the biggest impact on the future?
Yeah, that's a good question. If you had to pick one thing from everything we discussed that you think will shape the future the most, what would it be?
Hmm, that's tough. There's so much happening right now, it's hard to choose. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably say AI.
AI. Yeah, I can see why you'd say that.
It's not just a new technology, it's like a new way of thinking, a new way of solving problems. It's going to change everything.
It's already changing everything, right?
Yeah.
Look at healthcare, finance, transportation. AI is everywhere.
Exactly. And it's only going to get more powerful and more widespread. We're just at the beginning of the AI revolution, honestly.
Which is exciting, but also kind of scary, right?
Totally. There's so much potential for good, but there are also a lot of risks that we need to be aware of. Like, what happens to jobs as AI gets better at doing things humans used to do?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
And what about bias in algorithms? Or the potential for AI to be used for harmful purposes? There are a lot of ethical questions that we need to be grappling with.
We do. We need to make sure that AI is developed and used in a responsible way. We need to make sure it benefits everyone, not just a select few.
Yeah, it's a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
But it's also an incredible opportunity. Like, imagine the problems we could solve with AI. We could cure diseases. We could address climate change. We could create a more just and equitable world.
It's all possible, but it's not going to happen by itself. We need to be proactive. We need to have those tough conversations. We need to work together to steer AI development in the right direction.
Well said. So, wrapping things up, I think it's safe to say that the tech world is in a constant state of flux right now. It's exciting, it's confusing, it's overwhelming at times.
It is, but it's also incredibly important. What's happening in tech right now, it's shaping the future, our future.
Absolutely. And we all have a role to play in shaping that future, whether we're tech experts, entrepreneurs, investors, or just everyday people using these technologies.
We need to be informed, we need to be engaged, and we need to be willing to have those tough conversations.
That's what it's all about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the ever-changing world of tech. We hope you learned something, we hope you were challenged, and we hope you're inspired to keep exploring these topics. We'll see you next time.